This tutorial will show you in the scoring module how to use informational leaderboards to track the scores as they are being entered through the scoring module. In the scoring module we have leaderboards, and there are 5 leaderboards that are available, so you can have 5 different formats showing simultaneously. I'll just show one to start, and then we'll show others in just a moment. So I'm going to open up this leaderboard. Let me draw it into the display area here, and I'm going to change, and notice it has a payout here, and payout is not active at the moment, so I'm going to turn the payout column off. I did that by going to options, down to payout, and then hiding the payout, so the leaderboard adjusts to that. And it shows already that several players have scores. We have Ray Page right here, who has a net 64. Because we're showing under the format, I've selected individual and net, so that's what's being shown on this particular leaderboard. And so Ray has a 64. If I were to show Robert Peters, let me just jump over to here, and I'll jump to Peters using that type ahead lookup that we talked about earlier. So I'd type PET, and notice that his net score is a 68, which shows up in the leaderboard. Let's go to Larry Dunham so you can see that score. And again, I typed a D to get to Larry, and notice that his net score is 73, which is what shows up in the leaderboard. So let's say that the next scorecard that came in was McNeil, Randy McNeil. So I typed MC. Oops, sorry, let me do that faster. MC to get to Randy McNeil. And now I'm going to enter Randy's scores. He's a scratch player, so let's see how he did. Shot 71, net 71. And notice that his score has not yet shown up on the leaderboard, and it won't until I move away from Randy to another player. And I can do that either by using up or down arrow key, using the mouse to click on somebody else, or using type ed lookup. Next card that came in might be Victor Reed, so I type RE, and as soon as I move away from Randy, his scores showed up in the correct, on the leaderboard and in the correct location under Randy McNeil. Not only are they showing up, notice that we have 271s. In another tutorial, I'll show you how to use tiebreak to make sure that Howard Brown is actually the higher than Randy and should be within the people who shot the 71s. But right now we're just talking about the leaderboards themselves. Now let's say I wanted to view a second leaderboard, so I'm going to turn on leaderboard 2, bring it down, and let's adjust it. For the format, I'm going to select individual, and we're going to look at the individual gross, and this does have payout, so I'm going to leave the payout active here so you can see it. And we'll talk about how to do payout in another tutorial. But so now we have 2 different leaderboards. We have a leaderboard that is net, individual net, and then we have an individual gross leaderboard. To differentiate them slightly, I'm going to click on options, and let's select colors. And I want, let me bring this color dialog into the display area. And for the background, let's say that for the border here I wanted to make it a dark blue, so that way you can kind of see the difference. Now we don't intend these necessarily to be display leaderboards. They're really just for information, because we have a whole series of display leaderboards that look much nicer than these. But you can, if needed, use these to display on TVs, and to put on a projector if you needed to, because you got 5 of them and you can do 5 different formats. I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And you can change it. You can hide. Let's say I wanted to hide the commands just to make it look a little bit nicer. Then I would right click here to show the commands again. Hide the commands here if I want to make that. Right click to show the commands. You can change the headings. You can change the font. You can change the size, that sort of thing, so that you have some control over what it looks like. But mainly these are here just so that as you're entering the scores, that you can actually see the results as you're doing it. So I've got 2 leaderboards here. Let's enter one more player. So I'm going to go back to the scoring module, and let's say that the next card that came in is for Amos Yoder. So I type a Y to get to Amos, And let's enter Amos. So I'm entering Amos's scores. He's 18. So he shot an 88, and that's 70. And as soon as I get the next card, which is Eddie Fulgoni's, and I type in F to get to Eddie, both the net and the gross leaderboards just updated, and Amos's score went in. And notice that Amos, I'm going to point over here, went in as an 88 gross, but he went in as a 70 net. And if we were to click on Amos, you would see both those scores, 88 and 70 over here. All right, so that's an introduction to using leaderboards. They can also be used for other formats. And let me very quickly show you one more format. And I'm going to change the format of the scoring module to best ball. So we're going to go to best ball format. It shifts and it shows, in this case, the team of Amos Yoder and Gerald Reese. Gerald doesn't yet have a score. So since this is one gross, we can actually put this team's scores up there. But let's go ahead and I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to tap the enter key to move from Amos to Gerald and enter a score for Gerald for each hole, so that it will then recalculate and they get a team net of 63. Well, let's see how they stand in the best ball competition. Let's go to leaderboard number 3, and it'll get a little bit crowded here, but I'll just put it down here on top so we can see it. And the format that I'm going to select for this is under best ball. Let's select let me change my round to the current round, and then under format select best ball and then 1 net. All right, so here's our scores for best ball 1 net, and we have 3 teams that have scores so far, and out of those, Amos and Gerald with their 63 weren't even the best. That belonged to John, and let's confirm that. I'm going to click on John here and look here. They actually shot a 65 gross and a 61 net, so we're seeing the net scores here of 61, 63, and 64. So that's an introduction to the informational leaderboards in the scoring module for Tournament Expert. And we have 5 of them so that you can see how we can start to have different formats. And just to remind you that we have many formats in the scoring module. It could be individual, Jack and Jill, aggregate, Pinehurst, scramble, Callaway. And so it could be gross or net. And so, that would quickly, you could use the leaderboards to show the various formats that you are scoring for today's tournament.